Welcome guys, it's Red Devils United and we get to do a post-match reaction to a win. And I have to say, delighted with the game. Really happy with how pretty much most of it went. Couple of little issues throughout the game. Some scares, obviously the goal going in and going down 1-0 in itself was extremely scary. But some really good chances and a great win for United. So I have to say, absolutely delighted with that. Absolutely delighted to get the win. And I know we have 7 o'clock beer and chats, but we can start early. We can have a beer and we can enjoy the win and the 3 points, and hopefully it takes us out of 15th and I can stop getting WhatsApp messages from Liverpool fans regarding us being in 15th and needing iPhones the size of a lamppost in order to see your position. Great win. Great performance. Lulls. There were lulls throughout the game where everything seemed to get back into it. I actually thought in the second half we looked a little bit flat when we started it. And I called for a couple of signings. I took screenshots of my WhatsApp group. Honestly, I thought I'd have more time before this live stream, and I wanted to get the images into the stream itself, which I can't. But in the WhatsApp group that I'm in for United fans, the goal was conceded. We were losing 1-0, and I posted saying, "Look, we're actually playing well, and we're by far the better team. We'll win this." And I have to say, you can see it in the chat itself, in the WhatsApp group. Within a minute, we had scored then the equaliser. And then, of course, went on. So, I mean, I've often seen us play poorly and concede and then think, oh, fuck, you know what, we're probably in a bit of trouble. But I didn't see that today. I didn't feel that today. When we did concede, I honestly looked at it and said, actually, you know what? We're not doing too bad. I honestly think we'll come back. And we did. We scored the equaliser. Fantastic goal from Bruno Fernandes. Fantastic play all round. I mean, let's look at it from every angle. Okay, the play was good, the passing was good, the movement was good, and I'm going to go into a few different parts of today's game that I really enjoyed. But just looking at the goal, the biggest thing I had is the fact that Luke Shaw gets an assist again, and it just goes to show, you know what, if you get towards that byline. And okay, maybe you won't hit it first time, but for whatever reason, you've actually got a decent right foot. When you come back and you get a cross in, I think he crossed it with his right foot. Maybe he didn't. But you come back and you measure it, like you did in the Champions League midweek, get the cross in, and he put it into a great area. I'm not sure he's aiming for Bruno. If he is, it's absolutely fantastic. But if he's not, he puts it really well on the 6-yard line between the two centre halves who are way too far apart. I mean, they're not even marking strikers. I don't know who they're marking, but they're not really marking anybody. Bruno comes from like the 18-yard line, completely unmarked, and finds himself with in between those centre halves with 5 yards of space between each one of them, and he just gets to bang it in, top corner. Lovely header, lovely composure for the header. Because he could run in, he could head it over, he could mishead it. You get these things. He's not a striker, so, it's not his natural instinct to head the ball well. It's as far as I know, it's his first headed goal for us. So, brilliant run, brilliant movement, great ball in from Shaw, and a great goal all around. I have to say, absolutely delighted with that. Guys, just going to bring the chat window in this post-match interview to see what we got. Rob Fox is joining us. Rob, great to see you in here in the Red Devils United. Appreciate the support. Rob does provide us with a few graphics every now and again for some of the images, so really great. And Rob himself, a brilliant fox in the box. That's why he's called Rob Fox, and his second name is Fox. Great striker in his day, great striker now, and loves a good header. And I'd love to know what he thought of Bruno Fernandes' finish from deep. And you're right, Rob, it was a great win. It was really good. Dwayne Morgan, didn't see it, but remember, it is Everton you beat. Okay, That's a fair point. But Everton are actually doing quite well. Everton drew with Liverpool, current top of the table team. Everton were top of the table before the draw with Liverpool. I think Everton were top kind of maybe because of who they played within their first few games, and they got some points and did well. But Everton at the moment are a good side. Under Ancelotti, the players they bought, they're a very good team. Arsenal could go out and play against Everton next week and they could lose. That's not to say they're playing them next week, but they could lose. I mean, Everton are a good side. So, yes, I mean, it's not Man City, it's not Arsenal, it's not Chelsea, it's not Liverpool, it's not Spurs, but, you know, Everton are easily a top 8 team. So I'm going to take that win, I'm going to enjoy it. Robert Fox then says, midfield two today, great balance between them. And then Dwayne comments going, balance because Pogba was left out. Yes, and I agree, but I don't agree that the balance because Pogba was left out. I agree that the balance was there because it wasn't Pogba and Fernandes. It wasn't Pogba and Van der Beek. And it wasn't Van der Beek and Fernandes. It was just Fernandes, one attacking playmaker behind two defensive midfielders. And to Dwayne's point earlier today in the pre-match show, which you haven't watched, go back and check it out, the pre-match show before this result, Dwayne commented saying neither McTominay or Fred are good enough to play the holding role on their own, but together they're great. And in fairness, they were great today, and I think Fred was actually my man of the match. I know Bruno got 2 goals and an assist, and you can't not give him man of the match, but I thought Fred was brilliant, because not only was he breaking up play and intercepting passes, when he got the ball, he was one of the few players actually playing forward balls and releasing people. I mean, for our goal, he got the ball to Rashford and released him, and then it went out to Shaw, who then crossed it in, and Bruno scored the goal. I thought Fred was really good. But the balance was there not because Pogba wasn't playing, but because Pogba wasn't playing with Bruno or Van der Beek. You know, we had more balance within the team. I honestly thought Pogba could have played instead of Mata, who didn't offer too much throughout the game. He played well, some neat passing, but he's a right-sided forward in this game, in that position. I mean, that's obviously not his natural position, but he's a right-sided forward. You could put Rashford out there and play Pogba on the left side, because when you watch even in Juventus, Pogba was a very, very attacking midfielder. Pirlo sit deep, Pogba played forward. And he is really, really brilliant at beating men one-on-one, holding the ball up, passing 1-2. I mean, the worst parts of his game are defensive parts. If you played Pogba on the top left and put Rashford out right and played Martial centre, that would have probably worked even better than Rashford, Martial, Mata. And it keeps the midfield as Bruno, Fred and McTominay, and it keeps the midfield balanced. And in fairness, I actually called for substitutions of Cavani for Martial because he wasn't having a great game, and Pogba for Mata because he could play higher up the pitch. And that's exactly the substitutions that were made thereafter. I also took a screenshot of that in my WhatsApp group just to show that actually I called for the exact substitutions that happened. Which was just unfortunate I haven't been able to put in my chat or in this live discussion. But there was balance, Dwayne, and there was balance, Foxy. It was really good performance, good passing, but I think the biggest points were the passing, the quickness, the sharpness, and the movement of the ball, which in fairness, until Everton scored, was maybe slower than it should have been. The passing and the quickness of passing actually picked up after Everton scored. Lee Bourne, great to see you join us. Thanks a lot, really appreciate it. Liverpool fan, but always good to have anybody discussing football here on Red Devils United. Lee Bourne says, a great result for all teams, bar Man United in the league, as it keeps Ole at the wheel. Lee Bourne does not think Ole's doing a good job. Lee Bourne, I will have you know that while Ole is having a very poor start to the season, it is better start to last season, so an improvement on last season when we finished third. But more importantly, he has done better in his 101 games than Klopp did in his 101 games. If Lee Bourne had his way, Ole would be sacked. I mean, if Lee Bourne was a Man United fan, Ole would be sacked. He actually wants Ole to stay there as a Liverpool fan. The irony is, taking that logic to Liverpool themselves, Ole finished 6th in his first season. Klopp finished 8th. Ole finished 3rd in his second season. Klopp finished fourth. And Ole, over 100 games, has actually done better than Klopp. So, by Lee's standard and his logic, all fans across the league should have been praying Klopp stayed in the job, praying. And then how did that turn out? Not very well, because Klopp has done unbelievable with Liverpool because they kept him. You know, I mean, Lee Bourne, if he was following United or if he was managing United's upper echelons, he would sack Ole because of his performances. But that exact logic would have sacked Klopp after his first 100 games, because he actually did worse. And that's a thing that nobody's looking at. Nobody realises, because of Klopp's success at Liverpool, that he was worse than Ole in his first 100 games. He was worse after season 1. He was worse after season 2 for his finishes in the league. And he was worse after 100 games. But they kept him. And United, I think, are going to do the same. They're going to stick with Ole and they're going to see how it goes. Oas, I'm sorry if I pronounce your name badly. Oas Waches. Do you think Man United should sack Ole? No. For a number of reasons. First of all, the start of the season is poor. And nobody can deny that, okay? It is better than last season after today's game, but if they had lost today's game, it would have been the worst start since 1980, whatever. But it is better than last season. But the start of the season is poor. The problem is, the start of the season for everybody's been poor. Man City have had a really bad start to the season. Chelsea had a very poor start to the season. Arsenal's start wasn't great. They started to pick up some results. Chelsea had a poor start to the season. The only teams that had a great start to the season was Everton and Villa. And then they've started to fall by the wayside because everybody knew that would happen. No pre-season for any team. No pre-season tournaments. No match fitness. United and City actually had Champions League football and Europa Cup football a week later than everybody else. So when they came into the league, all the other teams had a week of competitive football more than City and United, which really showed in the Crystal Palace United game. United were sluggish, they were slow, and they got hammered 3-0. And that has to be taken into account. It's a unique season in that when it started, nobody had a pre-season and nobody's done well, and Ole has done worse than City and Arsenal and Chelsea and United and Liverpool and Spurs. He has, but very few teams have done well. And when I say teams, I mean the top 6, the normal top 6, top 8 teams. None of them have done very well. So you couldn't sack him after a poor start because nobody's had a good start. Liverpool have had a good start. Nobody's had a great start. So it's very, very hard to call for a sack, even if they have lost today. You know, the beating PSG is a phenomenal result. Beating RB Leipzig, who were undefeated in the Bundesliga at the time, was a great result. The Newcastle was a great result, but you can't ignore Spurs. You can't ignore Crystal Palace. Even the Brighton win was a terrible performance. And you can't ignore the Arsenal result. And obviously the last Champions League game was fucking pathetic. But great performance today as well as a result, even if there were lulls within the game. So I wouldn't sack him. I'd stick with him. A couple of his signings have been good. You see Mata playing top right today. Okay. If Ole gets backed and Man United put 120 million for Sancho, it's Sancho playing right side today. So Ole's putting players in positions that it's not their natural position. It doesn't benefit the team because Mata does narrow. He doesn't provide width up top. He comes narrow every time. So it's hard to blame Ole for that when he wanted Sancho, when he wanted other players and didn't get them. But at the moment, we're going to stick with him and we'll see exactly what happens now going forward. Dwayne Morgan jumps on saying everyone wants Ole to stay. I'm sure they do. But everybody wanted Klopp to stay at Liverpool when he was absolutely awful in his first 2 seasons. And again, as I said, worse than Ole within 100 games. So we'll see what happens. You can't compare to Klopp. He did a job at Dortmund. Ole did a job at Molde. Yes, I mean, their past resumes are obviously vastly different. But what they did with their existing clubs were extremely similar. Klopp came into an awful Liverpool team, playing really poorly, and he came in October. He had to overhaul the entire squad. Klopp has bought about 26 players, spent nearly $500 million. And he had to because they were rubbish. And it took time to get to get moving. I mean, it's absolutely a good comparison, because where Liverpool were is where United were, as where United are. And then Klopp had a very poor first season, finished 8th. Second season, as I said, finished 4th. And over 100 games was worse than Ole, because he had to make all of this transition. Ole takes over equally a very, very poor team, which was assembled by 3 different managers with 3 different ideologies. So he then has to take that team. And when you look at what he's done, I mean, there's about 9, 10, 11 players that were in that team when he took over that are no longer there. So again, overhauling a squad, it takes time to bed in new players and build on that. He finished 6th in his first season, not great, better than 8th. He finished 3rd in his second season, that was great, okay, because it got us back into Champions League football, which is always great. It's always a good thing. Everybody knows that. I mean, how many fans slag United for playing in the Europa League on a Thursday night? So now we can actually play Champions League. And in the first 100 games, he has done better than Klopp did. And that's just simply a fact. But yes, their past resumes aren't as good. I mean, Klopp, he done good things with Dortmund. He also got relegated in the Bundesliga with Mainz, I think. Ole got relegated with Cardiff. It happens. But Ole won the league for Molde twice. Molde being in the Norwegian league, not a great league like the Bundesliga, but you have to take into account, Molde had never won a league in their entire history as a club, and then he won it twice with them. Okay, that says something. Pep Guardiola done nothing before he became a manager of Barcelona. He just managed their B team. Ole managed United's B teams. He was the manager of United reserve teams and won the league. He then went to Molde and won the league with Molde for the first time in their entire history. Okay, it's a shit league, but it also means he did something with a team that had never done that before. And yes, you can't compare it to the Bundesliga. That's perfectly fine. And I wouldn't even attempt to. And I don't think Ole is better than Klopp. I think Klopp is a brilliant manager, and I would give both my arms if he managed United. I would love Klopp to manage United. Okay, I don't think Ole is better. I just think the calls for Ole to be sacked when he's actually done better than Klopp did in his first 100 games is somewhat premature. Dwayne Morgan, you can't. Rob Fox, Lee getting loads. Lee getting loads. Lol. Lee Bourne, except Klopp is a successful manager that can build teams. Yes, he is, and he's a fantastic manager, and I don't argue with that. And I think he's probably the best manager in the league. And I think, even though Liverpool have one of the best defences in the league, and they definitely have the best 3 forwards in the league, their midfield for me is shockingly average. And yet Klopp manages to get unbelievable things out of them. He is, for me, the best manager in the league, by far. He's better than Pep. He spent less money than Pep. He's done better things than Pep. He won the Champions League, and that was the year after finishing runner-up. And he's won the league. Klopp is by far the best manager in the league, and he's better than Ole. No doubts. But if you use the logic you and all other fans are using against Ole, saying we all want him to stay because he's shit and in fact should be sacked, if you use that logic, Klopp would have been gone before he achieved anything at Liverpool. So it doesn't make much sense to do that. If Ole doesn't finish top 4 this season, if he doesn't win a trophy, then yes, we need to look maybe elsewhere. But at the moment, none of those things have happened. So let's just keep playing football and wait and see. Dwayne Morgan, what was Southampton? Now I know, Dwayne, I've chilled on. I've moved on a bit from them. Are you talking about Southampton's performances throughout the league, or are you talking about Southampton having played another team and done well? I'm not sure. I mean, if Southampton are playing well in the league, great. I still don't think they'll stay, high up. I don't think they're that high up anyway. But even if they're doing well within the league, I think they would fall like Everton and Villa have. Teddy Stokes, the chairman of Newbridge FC. Great to see Teddy joining us online. Decent win, decent performance. Team selection was spot on. Pogba not starting. Actually, it's Richie. It's Richie jumping on. Richie, the manager. The manager of Newbridge FC. Great manager, doing great things with Newbridge. And my manager as well for 5 seasons. and a wonderful guy. Decent win, decent team, selection spot on. Pogba not starting a spot on. No, because his performance didn't warrant it. But, Richie, I will say, Bruno was worse than Pogba in Europe. He gave the ball away something like, there was an article or there was a comment, 30 odd times he gave the ball away. And he did it quite a lot today as well. But he was one of the worst players midweek. You could have easily dropped him. And today he scores 2 and gets an assist. So you always have to take into account, yes, form is one thing, but the ability of a single person and what they could do within a game always has to be considered. But yes, Pogba not starting, that's absolutely fine. I didn't start him in my selection. If you watch the pre-match talk, I actually left him out for Bruno. Anything this season has to be any time this season he has started, he hasn't performed well. No, I don't think he has, Rich. I think he's been somewhat poor. But when he's come off the bench, he's actually played really well. Like against PSG when he set up the winner. Like against Newcastle at 1-1. Him and Van der Beek come on and we finished 4-1. Unbelievable. So he has done well when he's come on, but like you said, he's not done great when he started. Robert Fox, definitely not Ted Rich. Lol, yes, absolutely, Richie. Teddy Slugs. Dwayne Morgan, God, you talk some amount of pony. I don't know what you're referring to. Robert Fox, Stephen Bradley, best manager around. Just saying. Stephen Bradley, the manager of Shamrock Rovers, actually lived just around the corner from my cousin Deco. I've actually played football a few times with Stephen Bradley. He's a good bloke. He was a fantastic baller. I remember playing like an 8-on-8 game on a field with him one time, and he did these moves. He did these little 1-2s in and out of players, not passing, but he actually did these moves that were fantastic. And I remember watching him thinking, fuck me, you're younger than me and you're way better than me. And I didn't understand how. Stephen Bradley, fantastic player in his day. I knew his dad. I knew him a little bit. He might not remember me. But he went on to be an Arsenal player, I think, in their reserve team, in their academy. And has gone on to become the Shamrock Rovers manager. So, yes, maybe he is, Rob, maybe he is, but he's a great bloke, I know that for sure. Dwayne Morgan, you don't know if Southampton are doing well. I think that sums up your pony talk. No, I mean, I'm not following Southampton. I mean, I'm not looking at them. I don't have the league table in front of me, but I don't care what Southampton are or are not doing. I can guarantee you this, they won't finish top 8. You know, the top 8 will be Liverpool, City, Chelsea, United, Spurs, Arsenal, probably Everton, and it'll be Wolves, maybe Southampton, but Wolves. I mean, that's you know, your top 8. So, you know, I don't really care what Southampton are doing, and the fact that you know what they're doing, that's great. You obviously know a lot about football, Dwayne, and I really thank you for joining me live. Everybody live, whether it's Richie, Lee, thank you again, Rob Fox, Dwayne, Stephen Norman earlier, anybody joining live, thank you, because it gives me something to talk about. It helps create the video. We're 23 minutes in and I want to keep going because it is brilliant. So Dwayne, thanks for joining us, and please keep talking football. In fact, the next time United are playing Arsenal, or any time you want, Dwayne, I can bring you in through Zoom and you can join me for a live episode. Would love to hear your opinion for any of the people who subscribe, who watch, because, you know, clearly you know exactly what you're talking about. Lee Bourne has laughing faces. He did retract the message, but I think he's laughing at Dwayne's comment, which is perfectly fine. As I said, I'm not au fait with what Southampton are doing or not doing at the moment. Robert Fox, he was at Arsenal for years, John. Yes, he was. I remember after he got released from Arsenal, I played again at Astor Park with him. He was doing things in the Astro pitch. You know, somebody lashed a pass at him. They hit a pass at him from 5 yards, and they nearly hit it full force. And he stopped the ball with the back of his heel of his other leg, like, you know, in his instep. So the ball was coming at him from the right, and he used his opposite leg and used his heel to control it. It was phenomenal. He was a great player in his day, and hopefully he can do good things at Shamrock Rovers. Let's see if he can win a league. Lee Bourne, Southampton are top of the table. Yes, but that's artificially so. I think they're top of the table in the same way Everton were top of the table, in the same way Villa were very high up. They've played teams and they've got results, but when they start to play better teams, they'll start to lose, they'll drop points. Of course, if Liverpool win against City tomorrow, which will be a difficult game, Liverpool will go back top of the table. So wait and see. I don't think Southampton will stay there very long. And I don't think they'll stay within the top 6. They may get top 8, but they won't stay top 6 throughout the course of the season. Rob Fox, back to United today. We are good enough. With good enough players, we can just get consistent. Consistency is what it is. It's very difficult to understand why there's a massive lack of consistency. I mean, you play, and it's not the results, because results can be misleading. Okay, Liverpool have had results, but they've had poor matches. United result against Brighton, we won. Yay! We were shit. The match against Brighton, I still think was one of the worst performances we put in, but we got the result. Results can be misleading. But the performances against PSG was fantastic. And then we follow it up with a lackluster display against Chelsea in a match I still think we should have won. The performance against RB Leipzig was brilliant. There was a 20-minute spell when Leipzig were on top, but the performance was great. And we follow it up with a shit display, a poor performance against Arsenal where we gave the ball away constantly. And then obviously that performance was followed by an even worse Champions League display against, I'm not even going to try and pronounce their name, Bashakir, whatever. But then today we have a good performance. We done well. Everton had spells where they were on top, but we done well. We beat them. We were better than them. And the 3-1 result, I think, is a fair result. I think 2-1 is probably not fair because we deserve probably more than that. I think 3-1 is a fair result. We were by far the better team, and it was brilliant to see Cavani get his goal. I don't know what you think, but I thought fantastic. He's off and running, and a great piece of skill to turn inside by Bruno to fake the shot and give a decent pass so Cavani can just take it first time. So well done to both of them. But the inconsistency is absolutely killing me, and I can't put my finger on it. You know, it doesn't matter about the selection of the team or the formation that's played. We changed the formation from Newcastle to PSG, you know, a back 4 to a back 5. We won both. Changed the formation again from Chelsea to RB Leipzig, and we beat RB Leipzig and we draw with Chelsea. That's not the issue. It's the players. You have to look at the players. You look today, the forward line, Rashford was coming deep, collecting the ball and turning and going at them. And that was not happening against Arsenal. The players were passing the ball quicker, they were moving, there was somewhat less unforced errors, which again wasn't happening against Arsenal. It's as if there's 2 United teams and it's the exact same players, but in this game they're unbelievably shit, and then in this game they're actually fantastic, and it's hard to understand why. Rob Fox, we just won the league and unbeaten with 2 games left. Rovers, yeah, great, excellent. Lee, Rob, I don't follow Irish league, so that's just unbelievable to know, because I know like Dundalk had won the league previously and a couple of times, so that's fantastic for them. The fact that Rovers have won the league with 2 games left is unbelievable, and that's fantastic for Stephen Bradley, and he's never going to be able to see this. Not in a million years will he watch this, but if he ever did, I would say well done, Steve. Fantastic to see you doing so well in football. Wonderful, congratulations on winning the league. And congratulations for any Rovers supporter. So I mean, just a great achievement for them. And unbeaten, that's phenomenal. That will drive Pats fans absolutely insane. So well done to everybody involved with Rovers, Shamrock Rovers, fans, team, management, everybody. Fantastic. But getting back to United, again, a great performance. They done really, really well, and I was really happy to see it. The chat seems to have slowed down, which is absolutely fine. We're half an hour in, so there's no problem with that. What we'll do is we will say goodbye. Thanks to everybody for joining live and contributing to this post-match reaction. United won, and 3 points on the board. We'll see where we can get from there. Fantastic. Again, guys, Bear and Chats will be live at 7 p.m. If you can join, we'll discuss the United-Everton game again. We will discuss the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer conundrum of what should United do, and of course any other results that have come in over the rest of the games today, And we'll have a look at tomorrow's game. Some big matches there with Liverpool playing City. So please join me live for Beer and Chats at 7 p.m. Really be happy to have you. It is just me sitting here having a beer, pretty much like now, except discussing all the teams, all the results, and tomorrow's games to come. And for it to work, we need people in the chat, talking to each other, talking to me, bouncing questions back and forth, and having a bit of banter. It's been great, thank you.
This shirt belongs to you. Always has, always will.
Chevrolet, proud supporter of Manchester United.